in Afghanistan, the last thing that the United States needs, and even if you listen to President Trump, he's no advocate of US involvement in overseas wars. But of course, there's always a difference when you start to talk about Israel. People start to talk about religion, involves the Christian far right, as well as the religious, the Jewish far right as well. People who advocate for a wider conflict, I think, are going to have their voices heard at the moment. But I think the real danger is that Israel listens to them completely and responds, then we're in a whole different ball game. Kira?
And we're still in a wait and see for what this wave 2 on behalf of Iran will look like and exactly what Israel will do in retaliation. Ian, thank you. Let's take it to our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce. Do we know if President Biden is still in the sit room, Mary?
We don't know exactly if he's still in the sit room right now, but of course he was monitoring this unfold in real time there with his national security team and Vice President Kamala Harris. What we do know is that there will be some kind of response. The big question, of course, is whether the U.S. will play any role in that response. The White House earlier today making very clear that there will be severe consequences for an attack like this. Of course, we do know that the U.S., has said that they will provide additional defensive support if needed. They'll protect U.S. forces operating in the region, obviously. And, to Ian's point there, when you think back to what happened in April, the U.S. at the time made, a big point of stressing that while they were helping to defend Israel, that when it came to the response, that the U.S. made very clear they had no role in any offensive operation. I would not be surprised if you see something similar play out here. Of course, this is, a different attack, different circumstances. The big picture here cannot be lost, that this is exactly what the Biden administration and what President Biden have been trying to avoid for almost a year now. This kind of escalation and turmoil in the region, this fear of a wider war, which is now very much upon us. But how does the president, assist Israel, back up our ally, while also not getting the U.S. dragged further into this, especially not, let's be honest, with an election now just around the corner here in the U.S.?
Yeah, it's the timing of all of this is quite adds quite a twist, Mary, for sure. Let's take it to our senior investigative correspondent, Aaron Katersky, there in New York. This strike happening so close to the high holiday, the Jewish New Year. It starts at sundown tomorrow. Aaron, you were reporting that concerns overseas translating here to concerns here at home, and law enforcement already taking up precautions, adding more security to synagogues in the New York area.
And they were doing that not just in New York. We heard from Los Angeles, from a number of departments, that we're going to be paying extra attention to places associated with the Jewish community in advance of the high holidays, beginning, as you say, tomorrow evening, the start of Rosh Hashanah. But more importantly, what precipitated what's unfolding now, the death of Hassan Nasrallah, the Hezbollah leader, in an Israeli attack, that in and of itself may not galvanize any individuals in this country. He doesn't have a big following in the United States. But what's playing out on TV, their intelligence officials are a little more concerned that could cause somebody to act out. And in fact, we just had a look at an assessment from the Department of Homeland Security saying that in addition to this missile barrage, one concern for the United States would be whether Iran follows it up with attacks on cyber infrastructure, cyber attacks on American infrastructure. That would be one concern here, in addition to the lone wolf who may see what's going on their TV and decide to take matters into their own hands. That's why the alert among law enforcement officials in this country has been so high ever since last October 7th and leading to the year anniversary since the Hamas attack on Israel. Kira.
Aaron, thank you. Senior national policy reporter Ann Flaherty joining us from the Pentagon now. What's the word there at the Pentagon? And as we know, additional U.S. troops have been sent to the region, not to get involved in any type of ground war, of course, but there are assets out on the waters to help. And the president has made it very clear that the U.S. military will help Israel defend itself. But what do we know at this point, after we've witnessed this first wave of missile attacks on behalf of Iran? What will be the role of those extra added U.S. troops, and what happens next as we wait for Israel to make a decision? And do we know if our military leaders are in contact with the IDF or leadership there in Israel?
Well, Kara, they say that they are certainly in constant contact. One of the things that we're just learning now at this hour is that the U.S. did help in intercepting some of these missiles. One of the things that I think was interesting was about 20 minutes before the barrage began, we saw a statement come across our emails from the Pentagon saying, if Iran acts, the U.S. and Israel believes that it should endure significant consequences. That's a quote, significant consequences. And then, of course, by the time it was in our email inboxes, we were already seeing the attack play out. So now, of course, the question is, what will the U.S. role be, if any, in responding to this attack? The U.S. saying that top of mind for them in this building, the Pentagon officials say, are the 40,000 U.S. troops that are in that region. We have a lot of troops stationed on ships, Iraq and Syria, and in drone bases, all of them. They are very nervous that these service members might be caught in the crosshairs. They, of course, want to also defend Israel and Israel's right to defend itself. They say that that is a very clear message. But we're going to be hearing from the Pentagon later today. And, of course, I think one of the top questions will be, what role will the U.S. play in any kind of retaliation from Israel?
Okay. And so can you guys tell me where we're going next? Okay, great. All right. Ann Flaherty, thank you so much. Of course, we've got a lot of moving parts here with all our correspondents overseas and here back at home, from the Pentagon to the White House to what we've been monitoring here over in Israel. We are getting more pictures in, it looks like, as we have been talking about Iran's first wave of a two-wave attack, that country says, on Israel, a retaliatory attack, as we have seen a number of Hamas leaders and even the head of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, killed in an Israeli airstrike on Friday. All of this unfolding within the past year, since October 7th, when Hamas attacked Israel. We have watched these Iranian proxies targeted by Israel. Now Iran responding with these missile attacks today. They say it will be two waves of missile attacks. Israel now in a wait-and-see mode to see what that second wave will look like. And we're in a wait-and-see mode, too, to see exactly what Israel will do next. A lot of politics are playing in here as well. And we've seen leaders here in the U.S. weighing in on what is happening in the Middle East. My next guest is a senior advisor for the Trump campaign, Danielle Alvarez. Danielle, thank you for joining us. We've had, as you've seen, within the past almost 2 hours, the breaking news of Iran launching that barrage of missiles at Israel. Former President Trump did release a statement that I see saying that if I win, there will be peace in the world. He hasn't exactly outlined his strategy for dealing with the crisis in the Middle East right now. So please tell us, if Trump were indeed to win the presidency, what exactly does he plan to do about what we're witnessing right now in the Middle East?
Well, the thing that I can say with certainty is that this never would have happened if President Donald Trump was in the White House. I mean, there was peace. He had signed historic Abraham Accords and brought historic peace to the Middle East. And this truly is weakness from Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, who have emboldened Iran. It's absolutely devastating to see. I pray for everyone in Israel right now, and certainly all of the correspondents that ABC has covering as we see this unfold. It's absolutely tragic, and it's something that the president is going to address. He is in Wisconsin right now. I just got off the phone on the tarmac, and it's something that he is going to address at the top of his remarks at his event in Wisconsin.